one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it, because you can.
We get this story from WBUR. Haverhill police officers will not face criminal charges in the death of Francis Giggliotti last July, said Essex County District Attorney Paul Tucker. Giggliotti, who was 43, died after 7 police officers pinned him to the ground outside a seafood restaurant. Video of the incident taken by bystanders shows Giggliotti on the ground yelling for help as police hold him down. His death was ruled a homicide by the Massachusetts Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in September, describing his cause of death as acute intoxication due to combined effects of cocaine and ethanol while being restrained prone by police. The DA's office said the officers were responding to reports of a man wandering in traffic and behaving erratically. The 7 officers were placed on leave in July after his death. That was last year. One officer involved in the incident died unexpectedly as the investigation was ongoing. What does that mean? Wow. Tucker said in a press conference, the DA, that criminal charges against the officers are not supportable. What? We answered that narrow question whether under Massachusetts law charges would be supported, and I have concluded that they would not and therefore will not be pursuing charges. In other words, I don't want to lose. Tucker said officers attempted to de-escalate the situation and calm Giggliotti before using force. Once Giggliotti became unresponsive because they pinned him to the ground, police used Narcan, an overdose reversal medication, and CPR in an attempt to revive him. The district attorney also said his office consulted with independent attorney Eric Daigle, who specializes in police use of force cases, and Tucker said Daigle found that the officers acted in a reasonable manner. Of course he did. Tucker said he personally offered condolences to the Giggliotti family ahead of the press conference. I'm sure they were like, thank you, no. Attorneys for Gigliotti's family could not immediately be reached for comment. But, you know, a lot of times this autopsy that they do, I don't know, do you really buy, you know, and it depends. Remember, the autopsy is simply a medical examination of the body to determine the cause of death. But in that respect, what are they looking for? You see, if the police say, well, he just stopped breathing, that's what they're going to look for. If the police say, well, he was cracked in the head and he acted weird after that and then died, they're going to look at the brain and see if there was traumatic injury or what have you. So I don't know if you know that, the medical examiner, when he does his autopsy, what he's looking for is affected or based on what he was told the cause of death, or what they thought the cause of death. Well, he just stopped breathing. We had him pinned down, he stopped breathing. Okay, well, I'm going to look and see if there was intoxication, if he had drugs in his system, you know. You see what I'm saying? But if they say, well, we hit him in the head with a baton and he fell back and hit his head, and now they're going to look for traumatic injury. Does that make sense? So based on what that medical examiner sees in a police report or is told about the death, that's what he's going to look for. You see what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying then is I don't always trust the autopsy. I'm kind of like, maybe, I don't know, you know. But 7 officers pinned this guy down. He stopped breathing. And none of them will be charged. I don't know. I'm quarterbacking here. I want to hear what you guys got to say.